So this is my weekly review. As we can see, it's Saturday the 29th of November at the moment. So yeah, I'm just going to go over my weekly view. I'm going to break down all the trades I took, the trades that I missed, and we're just going to do an in-depth review of my week. So first of all, if you take a look at Forex Factory, we're going to have a look at the news events that we had this week. So on Monday, there was no high impact news, so that's completely fine. And that's basically, I would basically be trading both New York and London session on Monday, that without really too much concern. Then on Tuesday we had PPI, so we can expect London to be a little bit slow before PPI releasing, and we can look to trade New York after that. Then on Wednesday we had, again, just medium impact news for Euro and unemployment claims for USD as well. Thursday was Thanksgiving, so it was USD bank holiday. So again, we can kind of expect Thursday to be a very slow day. And then on Friday, we had German CPI. It's coming up under medium impact, but it usually shows up as high impact news all day. But if we went to Forex Factory, it'd give you the exact times. It doesn't tend to be all day. It's usually done by about 10 o'clock, I believe. So if we come to trading view now, and we're going to basically go over what I was looking at on the start of the week on DXY, and then we'll drop down the time frames, and then we'll go through each day. So coming into the week from the daily perspective, we saw this sweep here on DXY, and then we had this pullback right here. So then after that pullback, obviously we would have got our medium time frame turning point within here to come and target this week high. So I was expecting continuations, literally to come and take out this high to the left. And then on EU, it was kind of something similar, besides it was just a DXY sweep that had basically caused this pullback here of this leg right there. And then again, we come into the week sort of like down here, and I was expecting just a continuation literally towards these week lows. As you can see, that wasn't the case, and we did actually push back higher now. So with that being said, let's go through DXY for the week. So from a 4-hour perspective, obviously you can see we re-sweep this high here, which was that daily high that I was expecting price to close through. And then we literally price has just continued to the downside pretty much all week, which obviously means my weekly outlook was wrong, but that's the way things go. You're not going to get it 100% right every time. As long as you can be adaptable, then that's all that matters. So yeah, after that sweep on Friday, obviously, yeah, let's say price has literally just continued to the downside now. But if we come to the 1 hour, we still expect basically still expect price to come up and take out these week highs, just because look, price is still bullish on the 1 hour. So we can look for a turning point within here, and then to come and target these highs. So if we come to Monday now, I'm just gonna use bar replay. If we come to Monday at about 8 AM, and we're gonna drop to the 5-minute, and I'm just gonna explain to you basically what I was looking at. So on Monday, like I say, we was hold up, there we are. So on Monday, we was obviously looking for a continuation to close through that high. So we had, this was our range on Monday, so obviously we had this break here, and then this was our internal protected low following that sweep, and then we had our area of demand at the extreme. So if we see how this plays out, you can see, I believe it was in New York session, we actually get an entry off of this demand zone. Let's play this forward a little bit. Yeah, okay, here we go. So we come into this area at about 1 o'clock. I don't know why my New York session isn't showing up, but yeah, we see basically this area of demand here gets validated just before New York session. If we have a look here, you see this high gets traded above that low, then gets taken out. That's the inducement there right before that POI. That validates the zone, and then we was looking for an entry on the 3-minute time frame to then come and target obviously these weak highs to the left. Now if we have a look at the same position on EU, You can see we didn't get the entry candle yet. We entered on this candle here at 1306. And then we was literally, as you see here, that was my account passed at that stage there. Now, you could have looked to target these lows, and that would be the systematic, mechanical way of targeting, basically this mechanical target would be this week low. But knowing Monday price action, London has already given its move. New York, I'm not expecting New York on a Monday to literally come all the way down here, however many pips that is, 54.8 pips. If the move had happened in London, then maybe you could look for a New York continuation and hold through New York session, expecting it to target this week low, but it's too much to ask for from price on a Monday where there's no news. And it was an unrealistic target basically. But luckily for me, once this low here got hit, that was my account passed anyway. So then I was literally out of that position relatively quickly with almost zero drawdown. I think there was like 2 candles that went into drawdown, 3 candles that went into drawdown, and then that was it. So yeah, once that low there got hit, that would be my account passed. And then I would have closed this position out at 7 p.m. So if we just let this play out, then you're going to see, obviously it does look like it did run quite nicely and then retrace, and then at about 7 p.m, yeah, we would have closed about there. Just wouldn't have held that trade overnight. I just didn't see it really. I did see it playing out, but not confident enough in that I would have held it overnight. I typically only hold overnight on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, a Monday and a Friday are sort of no-goes for me. So that was pretty much that. And now if we come into Tuesday, break down Tuesday. So that was that entry there. Literally super simple. The pullback inducement validated the POI, and then we could basically just look to trade from the POI and trade towards the week lows. So if we come to 8 p.m. now 8 a.m. on Tuesday, which is this candle here. Again, if we have a look at DXY, so DXY is basically my predominant driver. As you can see, obviously on the higher time frames here, that we are just stuck in this awful range. So you're trading within this range really, everything that you do. So that's also another reason why you can kind of expect price just to not run up to weak highs just from this zone here, because in a range price is just going to react to random shit. So it's going to take highs like you see here, give a reaction, take some more highs, give a reaction, take some lows, give a reaction, and that's just how price moves in a range. So it's kind of unrealistic given the market conditions as well that we would come up and take out this high. But coming into Tuesday, obviously you can still see we're literally just trading within that leg there. So I was basically just saying, like, in my morning outlooks, which are obviously inside the Discord, if you want to join, it's completely free. The link will be in my bio for that. And yeah, I'll post my daily outlooks in there every morning. So if you want to get them on a day-to-day basis, then feel free to join. But yeah, we was still stuck with inside this range. So then I was pretty much waiting for price to come and either take out this high or close through this low. In other words, I basically wanted to see it break out of that range. So I was literally just sitting on my hands at this stage here. And then London would have been a no trading session. New York, I believe with PPI, we did then break through this low here. So now once we broke through that low, I was like, okay, well, take a look at the 1 hour. We're now seeing this sort of medium time frame pullback, that we've had the lower time frame turning point, which was that break. And now we can kind of expect price to retrace back into the medium time frame range. So we've still got a bit of room to the downside. So I was then looking for shorts basically at that point there for the rest of the week until we got that lower time frame turning point to confirm the end of the pullback. So if we continue, obviously playing price out here, we're just looking to follow basically this structure right now to the downside. Obviously during New York session there is nothing. Now you could argue these are pullbacks here. For me, they're not significant enough pullbacks in terms of this last leg. So that one there, that was a valid pullback, but these smaller ones here, not really something I'm overly interested in, to be honest. And even if we had used that a sweep, there wasn't even a sweep there anyway for us to use, so there's nothing valid. So if we go into Wednesday now, I believe Wednesday I actually missed a valid setup, so we'll have a look at that. So if we wait until price gets towards the London session, here we go. There we are. So take a look at EU. So price has basically been breaking to the upside here. Now again, this is not a valid break for me. I believe if we go off of DXY, it would be because of DXY. Yeah, so if we take a look at that on DXY, I was looking at marking it as a break, but when we take a look at that on DXY, you can see price didn't really close through that low. It was more of just a sweep, and then internal structure switches bullish to come and play the pullback of this 5-minute leg. So that's how I viewed that. So it wasn't a valid break, even though it broke on EU. It didn't break on DXY, so therefore that invalidates the break on EU, and this was our last structure break right here. So then I believe again this was another New York entry. So you can see here again we get price come and break above these highs, and then that would have validated the demand zone at the extreme. But you can see here we actually had a mitigation of that area, and I believe on DXY as well. Yeah, on DXY that would have been the supply zone right there, like so. You can see we get that mitigation over here to the left. So not really something I'm overly interested in then, because we've had that mitigation already. I will only trade from basically unmitigated areas of demand or supply, and then we must see that confirmation in the pullback as well. So coming into New York, obviously price was literally just creating a barcode at this point. I was looking after seeing that, and then seeing that price was then respecting this low. I was then basically looking to trade 1 minute structure within this back up to that week high. So after seeing that break of that high there, at this point right here, I was then like, okay, well, if we get a sweep of this low here, then I'm happy to look for longs off of that. And what you're going to see happens, obviously price literally just rips straight through it. So that would have invalidated that setup there. And then we was looking pretty much towards this low here now for an entry. So here we could have had a valid 3-minute rejection candle, but if we take a look at DXY at the same time, we still hadn't swept that high. So since DXY didn't sweep, it wasn't a valid entry yet. So I was basically just continuing to wait for DXY to sweep so we could get a valid entry. At this point here, I believe DXY does sweep. Yeah, so DXY sweeps. We trade above it quite a bit. But if we take a look at the 5-minute, it's a bit of a questionable 5-minute close. Obviously, there is a few candles that close above it, but this candle here would have been the only valid candle really for a close. It just about closes through, and then the rest are pretty much all indecision candles. So that just shows the price is sweeping instead of actually closing. So if it was closing, they would all be strong bullish candles. They're not. They're literally just indecision or bearish candles. So then on that 3-minute rejection candle there at 2 o'clock, same on EU, the bullish candle at 2 o'clock, that would have been the entry candle. And then we would literally just target this weak high to the left, which you can see if we play this forward, literally plays out perfectly. Now, the reason I didn't actually manage to capitalize on this one is because if we take a look at the 15-minute here, you can see this low that we sweep here is actually a 15-minute low. So it's quite a significant pullback on the 15-minute. So basically, I was waiting for price to come, sweep that low, give this bullish candle here, this bullish 15-minute rejection candle, and then wait for another bearish candle to sweep this bullish candle, and then I would enter to target the week high. So basically waiting for 2 sweeps instead of 1. But obviously it turns out that 15-minute leg wasn't a large enough leg for me to be doing that from, which is completely fine. And obviously that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you're going to miss opportunities like that. So I was just basically being too patient. But yeah, that's obviously how I missed that trade there. But I've put it into my data, and then I'll learn that lesson for next time. So basically, I don't know why DXY is targeting what has gone on with this, but it's targeting like miles away. Yeah, okay, let's just delete that. I don't know what's going on with that. So if we go into Thursday now, I believe there was one more smaller position that we could have taken later on in the week, but it was a very extremely low probability trade basically. So basically at this point here, that we've retraced into that medium time frame range. So now I'm happy to continue looking for shorts back down and continuing the pullback, or I'm looking for a lower time frame turning point to now come and target these weak highs to the left. Now we drop to the 5 minute, what we're going to see. Basically, again, look, now we've got that bigger range that's occurring on DXY, and I believe on EU as well, we also had a bit of a bigger leg. So yeah, so here on Thursday, that's where that position would have actually come. Again, I believe sort of in the overlap between London and New York session, so that's why I wouldn't have taken it. So pretty much I'm looking to now, with this larger leg, I'm basically looking for 1 minute structure within this to switch bullish, and then we can come and target this week high over here. So once 1 minute structure switches bullish within this 5 minute leg, then that will suggest a week high here that we can then target. So obviously here price switches bullish. Now this is a bit of an aggressive structure break, but if we take a look at DXY around the same time, you can see DXY has clearly shifted bearish. So with DXY clearly shifting bearish, that basically made me be a little bit more aggressive with my EU structure break. So we got that break there, and then we sweep this low, wait for the rejection candle, which I believe we maybe took a 3 minute rejection candle. No, it would have been a 1 minute. So basically it would have been, not all of these candles are indecision candles, so they're all sweeping candles. There's no like confirmation here the price is closed through this low. So with that, we're then waiting for a rejection candle. We then get this bullish candle here that we enter off, and then we can literally cover the low by a couple of pips, target the weak high, and then it ends up playing out quite nicely. Obviously a little bit lower volume is expected just because of the timing. If you look at the time of the trade, it was 11:24. So yeah, that was obviously one reason I didn't take that. The second was obviously it's Thursday, like I mentioned at the start. It's a US bank holiday, so again, I'm not really, after London session, I'm not really that interested. Yeah, and then third was probably the aggressive structure break here on EU. Even though it was clearly switched on DXY, it was still just a bit too aggressive for my liking for such a low risk to reward position. Just didn't really make sense to me. So if we just skip through New York session here, because there's literally going to be nothing really that present on during a US bank holiday, especially a big one like Thanksgiving or something like that. Okay, here, I'll walk you through this one here. So basically, we saw again that the demand zone on EU got respected. We trade above the highs, we sweep the lows, and then we mitigate demand right here. But if we take a look at DXY only sweeps. Now, this was, again, this comes down to, it depends on your data if you're going to take this or not. So for me, if DXY sweeps, I need to see EU sweep. If DXY validates the demand zone or supply zone, I need to see EU do the same thing. I will never take a position, well, not at the moment anyway, because it's not valid based on my data. I will not take a position if DXY is sweeping and EU is only mitigating demand, for example, like in this case. For me, that's not valid. So even though both positions were valid in their own right, because they weren't showing me the same thing, then that basically invalidated the trade for me. So again, like I said, this will be sort of something I add into my data. You could have looked for possible entry, something like this, had you taken it. What time does DXY sweep? DXY sweeps at 14:40, so you'd wait for the 14:40 candle. So the rejection candle would be this one right here. 2 pips stop loss, so it'd be 37 pips. So again, like look, it's literally under 1.5 R, a bit like this position over here. So that would basically invalidate that setup. I will never trade a position that's lower than 1 to 1.5 R as well. So I can add them into my data, but for me, they're not really something I'm like super keen on ever trading. There's always, and then again, US bank holiday, both of these positions were quite low probability. So if we continue through, I believe that would have been it for Thursday's price action. We don't get the sweep of this low, and then we put in a new high, and then at that point there, we're literally out of our trading hours. And then Friday was an interesting one. Again, the daily outlook was literally spot on, but unfortunately there was just no entry to be able to capitalize on it. So we come through to 8 o'clock. Obviously, this is where we have all that Euro news, all that German news. You see here the last one at 1 o'clock. So if we take what time is that? 7:45. Yeah, that's fine. So if we come to the 5-minute now, right, what we're going to see is obviously where yesterday on the Thursday we was pretty much just looking to continue following bullish structure now up until that week high. Structure then actually switches back bearish here, which indicates this low is now failing to do its job and this low has become weak. So when we have a weak low, we can then look to target that on DXY. See, we switch bullish, indicates a weak high, and we can look to then target that. So then, obviously, I was then looking for basically some sort of lower time frame structure to be created that we could come and trade towards this with. But literally, before 8 a.m. or the 8 a.m. candle literally just comes and takes out that. So there's really nothing there for me to then trade. And then that was pretty much the idea gone for Friday, because then we're literally just stuck within this bigger leg again. A bit like we was on Monday and Tuesday, and we basically just wanted to see price break out of it. Could then, after seeing that, I believe, did the demand zone get respected here? If we mark that out, let's have a look. Draw that across. It looks like it may have done, which I actually missed at the time, but again, it's a bit of a obviously you can see we trade above these highs, sweep them lows, and then mitigate. So you could argue, is it possibly valid? But for me, this is just, I don't know, it just looks like you're stuck in a range, which you pretty much are. Like, all of that is pretty much just a range. It's not like super clean. Again, it's going to be out of hours on a Friday. But yeah, you could have maybe had a possible 5-minute entry off of that demand zone, looking back on it. But for me, that's, I don't know, that's not really something I am interested in. But then we see 1-minute structure, switch bullish, and then I was looking for basically sweeps of this structure to then come and trade higher. But like you're going to see, we get absolutely nothing until the end of the session. So yeah, that was pretty much my trading week done. So just the one position on Monday, which passed an account, and then, or past phase 1, should I say. So still got phase 2. We then missed a position on Wednesday. But yeah, that's obviously the way things go. And then there's a couple of smaller positions in there, which for me weren't really the most valid. So yeah. Obviously, if you're not in the Discord yet or the Telegram, then the link is in my bio. Make sure you go and check that out, or the link will be in the description for you to be able to join. So yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe and don't forget to hit the like button as well.